Hello and welcome to today's TOC podcast. I'm Joe Weichert, co-chair of O'Reilly's Tools of Change conference. As always, I encourage you to visit the official conference site, toccon.com, to keep up on the latest webcasts, podcasts, and upcoming TOC events. Speaking of which, we're now only about a month away from TOC Frankfurt. Don't forget that this year features not only the full-day TOC on Tuesday, October 11th, but also a half-day social media workshop on Thursday the 13th. For more information or to register, visit toccfrankfurt.com. So, one of the goals of our TOC podcast is to feature global coverage of the publishing industry. With that in mind, for today's podcast, I'm joined by Max Franke, who is involved in business development at epubli and is coming to us today from Berlin, Germany. Max, welcome to this TOC podcast.
Thanks for having me. Hi, Joe.
So, Max, let's start off with ebooks. How is the ebook market in Germany looking these days for both English language and German language titles?
I think when looking at the ebook market in comparison, well, in Germany, in comparison to the United States, one have to admit that it's still very small. I think that's mostly due to a lack of content and also due to high prices. And of course, Germans are really famous for having a strong gusto for the look and feel of the book. They like to show their visitors a big bookshelf in their living room. That all comes together. But on the other hand, I think it might take off really quick now that e-readers and tablets are spreading all over the market. It could be Christmas could be the breakthrough, or they could also take one more year.
Okay. And as I look back, I'm thinking back to May of 2010, so a little over a year ago, we saw a dramatic rise in ebook sales back then. And I feel like there were sort of three things that happened. So first, you had Barnes & Noble discounting the price of their Nook e-reader. And then Amazon, I think, felt compelled to match Amazon and reduce the price of the Kindle. And then at the same time, you had the iPad that just came out. So do you see any sort of market forces aligning like this in Germany anytime soon and creating a huge surge in ebook sales like what we saw?
Yes. Although Germany is not such a big market as the United States is, still it's a huge market, and that means all players try to enter it. So we just saw Kobo entering it, and I'm pretty sure Google, for example, will follow in the near future. Amazon just got here with the Kindle. What's sure that there will be an intense competition, but I think it's maybe too early to predict who's going to make it there. Amazon is the biggest bookseller already, and the book trade was the first industry in Germany where the biggest online player was bigger than the biggest brick and mortar seller. What we see at the moment is there are lots of small ebook distribution channels. Each and every one tries to come up with an own offer. But I think in the end there are too many players at the moment, and it will be a battle of the big, so to say.
So you are pretty confident that Amazon with the Kindle is going to garner the majority of the ebook device share in Germany, or do you suppose anybody else could really knock them off?
I'm really excited about Google when they will enter the market, but absolutely Apple is really important to mention as well. They got the first mover advantage. They already sold lots of iPad devices in Germany, and in Germany, I have the feeling that most people currently have a stronger focus on tablets, not readers. So when talking about the devices, I think that's where the most intense competition will happen. So we can already see Apple plays hardball. They just sued Samsung, who's not allowed to sell its Galaxy Tab now in Germany. I think it will be a battle of the big. Amazon, Google, Apple, and maybe some more will follow.
And it's interesting because when the iPad came out here last year, I immediately put my Kindle away and I switched to the iPad. And it wasn't until I was at TOC Bologna where I saw somebody with their third generation Kindle, and I fell in love with it. And it was so inexpensive that as soon as I got back to the United States, I put my order in and I got one. And I'm finding now that I'm using the Kindle for all my long form reading, and I've really again rediscovered a love for it. But I'm doing all my short form reading on the tablet. So do you think that's likely to be the case much in Germany? So, iPad dominating more on that short form side?
Um, it's a difficult question. Probably for the heavy users, but I think the ordinary, so to say, ordinary end user will focus on one device, and I think currently the tablet has a better position. But once Amazon goes for the Christmas sales and starts marketing its the Kindle more aggressively, or maybe the Amazon tablet will already be there. Then we don't know yet, but that might have an influence as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the other factor that's going to come into play, particularly in the United States, but probably globally at some point, is just the price of an e-ink Kindle. I mean, everybody keeps talking about how they're going to get below $100 very soon, and I could see them coming up with a model where it's basically free if you commit to buy a certain amount of content over the next year or two, almost like you see with cell phones, where it's
Yeah.
subsidized that way. And as long as that e-ink display is easier to read, easier on my eyes, let's say, than the backlit LCD of a tablet, I see myself wanting to have both, and I would see a lot of people doing the same thing if the e-ink display is almost like free.
Yeah. So it could happen that, for example, the heavy shoppers at Amazon, they got it for free, or they got it for such a small amount that it's take off. I'm not sure. I think we the future is exciting there.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally agree. So let's shift gears for a minute. I'm fascinated by this fixed pricing model that exists in Germany.
Yeah.
What impact do you feel that will have on ebooks and the ability to promote them, and also to distinguish sort of one retailer from another?
Um, I don't think that fixed pricing will play a really big role there. I think, well, of course, it plays a role, but it makes, for retailers, for example, it makes it more important to apply smart design and customer-friendly processes, and of course, to have the content. Um, in terms of publishers, I think the selling price and the DRM policies that will be an important factor when promoting an ebook effectively. Because what I feel at the moment, most ebooks in Germany are way too expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, okay. And you touched on DRM, so let's talk about that for a minute here. As you know, O'Reilly is very much advocating a DRM-free world. What's your opinion of DRM, and what's the future of it in Germany?
Um, I absolutely agree with you guys. I think that the music and the film industry, they taught us some valuable lessons here. That I personally believe that it's wrong to punish your paying customers. So do not limit the usage of content for those that actually pay for it. Um, Well, I think to fight piracy, you need to come up with a customer-friendly offer that provides all the content, price it appropriately, make it easy to read on different devices, and that doesn't go along pretty very good with DRM. At epubli, for example, we believe in kind of a social DRM. We just watermark our ebooks, so whenever it is on Pirate Bay or some of those networks, we can trace back the person who originally bought it from us. But I do not believe in a system where we try to protect each and every sharing and stuff.
So what's most popular from publishers in Germany today? Traditional DRM that's very rigid, or the social DRM solution that you're talking about?
Um, I think when it comes to the industry as a whole, not single publishers, but the industry as a whole, lobby groups and so on, they believe they still, most of them believe in really rigid models.
Okay, yeah, that's what I kind of figured. So, how about, you're involved in the self-publishing space as well. How important has self-publishing been for Germany? And have you seen any huge breakout self-published titles in Germany like we've seen in the United States?
Um, Well, we are still waiting for an Amanda Hawking or Barry Eisler to be published in Germany. Or maybe it's already out there, and we will see it in the near future. Self-publishing definitely faces an increase in press interest in Germany, and the market grows really fast. I think the really exciting part is like in most countries is how will traditional players, so to say, will react, like literary agents, for example. I think as soon as they see opportunities to get involved into self-publishing, I think that will change a lot. Yeah.
There's always been this separation between traditional publishers and self-publishers. Do you feel like it makes sense for traditional publishers to get into self-publishing?
Um, well, I don't assume the right to assess publishers' work or to explain them their business model. And I think most publishers, traditional publishers, they do a great job when working with content, working with authors. Um, Let me take it that way. At epubli, we are very happy in our role as an independent digital startup that is part of one of the leading publishing groups. So I think what's crucial is that we have incorporated deep understanding of the internet, that we have incorporated the flexibility, and I think in this constellation we are prepared. We're really good prepared to cope with the disruptive forces of digitizations there, be it ebooks, be it self-publishing, or what else might come there. I think that would probably describe it best, but it would be hard to say, well, all traditional publishers have to adapt to this or that business model.
Okay. How about on the direct sales front? I really believe that publishers have got to work both with existing channels of distribution as well as build out more direct sales as well. Are you seeing any of that happening in Germany? Any publishers in particular that are doing that?
Um, there, especially in terms of the ebook market, there are some interesting models. You might have heard of Scoop. It's a joint venture of Bertelsmann and Holzbrink, so of the two of the really big players in Germany. And that's some really interesting models. I think most publishers at the moment try to establish a direct sales platform on their own website. But I do not always see that these efforts are paying off.
Seems to me like the big reason why a lot of publishers in the United States avoid making a big deal of that is they don't want to upset their retailing partners. For fear of maybe getting cut out of the next promotion or losing visibility in the brick and mortars, for example. Is that something that is pretty publishers are pretty sensitive about in Germany as well?
Not that I know. I think it's not only publishers who have to rethink their business model in a way. I think it's especially the book trade, and be it brick and mortar stores, independent bookstores, who are still really important in Germany. But you see those changes. It's not over here as well. It's not like only Borders got bankrupt. We have a lot of changes here as well, and I think. Don't think publishers should be too afraid of upsetting one certain sales partner.
Yeah, okay. That's good to hear that that's not such a problem over there. So, Max Franke, yeah, absolutely. Max Franke from epubli, thank you so much for taking part in today's TOC podcast.